Have you ever heard these things? Well, if your house is in the east, then there would be mental happiness, agricultural prosperity. Well, if it's in the south, then trouble from enemies and political agitations. Well, it's in southeast, physical illness, use of medicine, and loss of health. We as designers have always heard these things. But what is the basic science behind this? Today we are going to discuss about Vastu Shastra. Why Vastu Shastra is required in modern way. So before initiating that, first let's understand what is exactly Vastu Shastra. Well, Vastu Shastra is a vast and ancient science of living. The word Vastu is derived from the root vas, which means to reside. It's not an equivalent to the word architecture. Vastu is architecture and much more. While architecture is the science, art or profession of designing and constructing buildings, the definition of Vastu extends into the realm of occultism. Vastu Shastra, the edifice science of Bhavan Sthapatya Kala, being the applied aspects of Atharveda, is an ancient science and one of the eminent features of our Indian heritage. Vastu means dwelling of humans and gods in the original Sanskrit literature. Many factors govern the life of human beings, his fate, karma and surrounding. But Vastu can make sweet things sweeter and bitter less bitter. Like many of our traditions, Vastu too got neglected over the centuries for want of patronage. Hence the present society could not very much appreciate and utilize this science in the construction of house, shops, office and industrial complexes. If construction is not according to the principles of Vastu, then thinking and action of the people dwelling or working in these places is not harmonious and evolutionary, leading to disorder and illness. This is one of the main reasons of discontent and sufferings of the human society at present. On the contrary, if the laws of nature, which are elaborated and incorporated in the science of Vastu, are followed, then all the divine powers support the thinking and action of the people associated with such concerns. So we at Hiraeth Design Studio believe in working in accordance to the Vastu Shastra principles. Since an architect can build a posh house, but can't assure happy life to the people living in that house, whereas Vastu science assures people prosperity and progress to the owner as also the inmates. Well, Vastu Shastra is not so much complex that people get it at, but many rules are common sense as they relate to ventilation and sunlight. But some, like the subtle energy in nature and built environment that affect humans, have also been verified and appreciated by those who did not believe in them initially. One of the major aspects in Vastu Shastra is Sun. Sun is the major cosmic entity which radiates light and heat in the entire universe. It is also called the soul of the universe. It is said, Surya Atmat Jagatsa Tastu Kasacha. The principles of Vastu allow human beings and society with inexhaustible source of energy and thus make them to live in fully satisfied manner. Well, in China, the same concept is called Feng Shui. Both Vastu and Feng Shui find similarities between our outer and inner worlds. Following India's ancient law of microcosm and macrocosm, a general rule of metaphysics developed by the sages, Vastu teaches that each human being is a living microcosm of the universe, a tiny, self-enclosed cosmos that mirrors the giant cosmos without. Every human life entails a web of relationships, a summation of multitude of temporal, spatial, and causal relationships between the smaller cosmos and the larger. If we take nature as a resource to be exploited, then nature will respond by exploiting us in return. Align yourself with nature and your personal lesser universe will start to function as harmonious, sukha-filled components of the greater. Thus, to give you a broad understanding on which the Vastu Shastra relies is the form of energy and the element. Solar, which relies on fire, wind, which relies on air, rain, which relies on water, gravitational magnetic field relies on earth, sound, which relies on space. So the northeast is assigned to water, the southeast is assigned to fire, the northwest is assigned to air, and southwest is assigned to earth, and the center is assigned to the space. So here is another drawing which shows that the dark portion of the solar disk, which is the relative intensity of solar flux received by the earth, that is, from the earth direction, the earth receives the maximum amount of solar energy. If we take a look from the science perspective, the Vastu Shastra is completely believable, as it is completely rational, because Vastu talks about cause and effects. It's practicable, that is, it's being capable of being put into practice, and it's permanent, that means it's not bound by the barriers of the time. It's normative, that means it's codified and governed by the principles. It's utilitarian, that means it is useful to the society. And the most important aspect, it's universal, that means it is acceptable and accessible to everyone. So this article appeared in USA on 17th Jan 2000. Ever wonder why some rooms invite you to work and others seem to suck energy from your body? While not rooted in hard science, Vastu Shastra, many fans, British Prime Minister Tony Blair, for example, had his residence, number 10 Downing Street, redesigned to give him maximum mental energy. His designer used the principle of Vastu to choose the colors of doors, walls, even rugs. So let's conclude. The path of adaptation of Vastu principles was keenly practiced by our ancient sages and commoners for building homes, temples, and cities. This has gained momentum in modern times. So we as Hiraeth Design Works provide our clients a completely Vastu compliant house. We need to get ourselves convinced that Vastu Shastra is not a hoax, but a trusted science which correctly guides us in today's world of hardship and stress. In the upcoming videos, we are going to talk more about Vastu Shastra. It would be highly appreciable if you could subscribe the video and share the video in your community.